I'm Alan Hall. I'm a writer of role-playing games and modules and supplements. Also some fantasy fiction that's role-playing game adjacent, but most recently I've been focusing on the games.
And you are at the very mysterious booth here that changes locations.
Yes, we got shifted around a bit here in the setup process for PAX U. So we've had a lot of people on the corpse run for Mort Borg that have had some trouble finding us.
But we thought I found you. You couldn't hide from me.
That's right.
All right, so first we'll talk at Sneaky Witches down here. This is a pamphlet game, solo, hex crawling.
Yes.
I know you just gave me the spiel off camera.
That's all right. We'll talk about it now. So in this game, one player, there are two-player rules, but we start with one player. You are a witch, and you live in a swamp. And another coven has moved in on the other side of the swamp, and we can't have that. So we're going to be collecting components to perform a banishment ritual. And we've got 3 nights to do that, because in 3 nights is the next full moon, and we got to make sure we get that done before the next full moon, otherwise we're not going to get another chance. So as you're moving through the hex map, it's a very simple hex map that we've got here. You're going to start at your hut over here. And each round that you're playing, you're going to have 2 actions. The first action, you're always going to move. You're going to creep ahead. So we're going to go ahead and move to that hex there. And then the second action, you have a choice. You can creep ahead again, which is going to move you to another hex, or you can search for components. Now, searching for components, you're going to be rolling your 2d6, and then you're going to be hoping that the dice show up less than or equal to the number in the hex that you're sitting in. So right now we're in the 1, and so we could be hoping to roll a 1, but that's not so good. So this turn, we're going to move ahead again. So we'll move ahead into the 2 range. And so that ends the turn. We crept ahead twice. We have no more actions to do this turn.
So you get about 2 actions per turn.
That's right. Okay. And now we have to check our sneakiness. We got to make sure that the rival coven hasn't been tipped off to our presence in the swamp, because we don't want to get caught by that.
No, we don't.
So at that point, we're going to roll 2d6s again. We're going to put them down there. If both of the dice are less than or equal to the zone number, then we are not so sneaky. So we're in 2, we got a 1, which is bad, but we got a 3, so we're actually still safe. They would both have to be a 1 or a 2 at this point. And if that had been both a 1 and a 2, we would have checked off one of these boxes down here in the not so sneaky list. If all of those get checked off, we've lost the game. Yeah. So now we would check off hour 1 as having happened, and we move to hour 2. We got 8 hours in the night. Each hour is one of these rounds where we have 2 actions to do. So now we move ahead again, and so we moved ahead as our first action this round. And now we're in the 3, so we're actually going to look for components. So we're going to roll 1, and we're aiming for a 1, 2, or 3. We got a 2, so we would go to our notebook, and we'd open up in the component identification section of the pamphlet, and it would tell us what we found. And so we'd roll 1d6 for what it was. It was a 5, so we got an animal part of some kind. And we'd roll 2d6 to figure out what its unusual property is. So we rolled a 5 for that. This blackens your skin to the touch. And so if in our notebook, if we're so inclined, we'll be drawing that, naming that sort of thing. So all those sort of options for you. You can put as much flavor into the game as you want. Then we keep going, and the goal is to be able to collect 9 components. So we just got 1 in the second round of the first night. We're going to be going for 9 components to be able to cast that banishment ritual. At the end of each night, we have the option to cast some other rituals. One to enchant a broom of flying, which is going to double our speed, and one other, a potion of invisibility, which is going to make us more sneaky. Oh, and the third one is we can summon a helpful helper. That's going to increase the number of components we can find each round. But each of those, but they cost the same components that we're saving up to win the game. So that's that trade-off. You need to make sure I'm going to have 9 before the end, but I might need some help to get there. So I'm going to spend some now so I can get more later.
Now, can you move non-linearly along the track?
Yes, you can go anywhere. You can go anywhere around this hex map that you'd like. And you're gonna, at some point during the game, you have to go into the 6. Because you got to get that special component to focus your ritual. And that's got to be.
Stay out.
No, you can't just hang out here in the 3 and count on the probability. You got to go into the 6 because you need to get that special component right from the other coven's hut. And there's only one place to get that, and so you're gonna, because that's a 6, you're guaranteed to be not so sneaky when you're there. Because that's how the dice, you don't even bother rolling that turn. If you're in the 6, you're not so sneaky.
And depending on how much of those not so sneakies you've used up, you might be around,
and each time you come back to your hut, at the end of the night, you get to roll 1d6 and reduce your not so sneaky by that much.
You have to go all the way back to your house.
At the end, yeah, at the end of the night. So you have to go back, then you can sort of, if the not so sneaky is your HP, you can heal up a little bit. So it might be that you get close, but then you realize, like, I can't afford to be not so sneaky right now, and so it's all that balance. So
Fair is foul and foul is fair.
yeah, so all the quotes are from Macbeth. So the witch is there is sort of my inspiration here. And so there's three nights, 8 rounds in each night, and so you got that time to try to figure things out. So yeah, that is the game, and so it plays when you're depending on how into those components you get. If you ignore that and you're like, I'm just putting tally marks down for how many components I have, it plays in like 20-30 minutes. But if you get into drawing, naming, you can make it an hour. It's an hour-long game, and it
seems like a good kind of inspiration for sort of witchy kind of business.
That's where I'm going for, and it's nice. It's just the pamphlet, so you have 2d6, you have 2d6 on your phone, and you can pull this out anywhere, and you can play a game.
That was Sneaky Witches. Now, next. This is the new hotness. Sprinkles. So Sprinkles is missing. So tell me about that.
All right, so Sprinkles is missing. This is
Are you coordinated?
It is a kid-friendly. So it's a full role-playing game system. It is based on a dice pool system, but the characters have been pared down. So there's no ability scores, there's no stats, there's no numbers associated with the characters. But what there are is each character does have a class, and they're students at a magical elementary school in this game, and so your class is your favorite class. So you are an art witch, or you're a gym class warlock, and these spells available to you are going to...
Gym class warlocks smell like body odor?
That's up to you, it's your character. And so the spells that you have access to are going to be determined by what your favorite class is. And so, here's your math spells. You have things like multiply. You can duplicate an object or item. And you're going to need these spells to solve the problems presented in the actual story that you're going to be playing.
Which is the quadratic equation.
Not this time. So anyway, as far as the dice go, what we've got here is essentially the learning system for these spells. So you're students and you're learning how to do magic still. So when you first get a spell, you roll 2d6. And the goal is for them to add up to 8 or more. That's a success.
So a little bit less than 50% chance.
Correct, yeah. So, and then after you've rolled it successfully once, the next time you roll 3d6. And I encourage people to draw this square and shape and color them in as they go, and that's how you track how advanced you are in each spell.
Oh, that's clever.
And so the next time you roll 3d6, you're still adding up the top 2 to get 8. So it's not like a guaranteed, but it gets close. And with 4d6, once you've cast it successfully twice, and that's the max level.
Then you get the roll best 2.
Best 2, and so that's like an 86%. Like I did the math at one point, but a pretty high chance. Yes. And so those are I'm being shown that I actually did the math, and I presented it on the rules reference bookmark that comes with the game. So there's your chances of success: 42%, 68%, and 83%.
Oh, I like that.
So this is the play
Unless
sequence.
You're Han Solo, in which case, don't tell me the odds.
Don't tell me the odds. And so then the game is designed to be very easy to run on. You got to read the book. For the principal is the game master, so the principal has to read the book. But once you've read the book, you can sit down and play the game in no time. And half the book is the scenes, and the scenes are designed to be able to play immediately with no prep. So each time that the students, the players and the students, are at a decision point in the game, you give them 2 scenes. You roll 2 d66s to pick 2 scenes from the book, and you read them this italicized text directly from the book. And then they get to talk about which one they want to go to. They pick which scene they want to head to, and then you read them the set the scene text. And this is all you just read right out of the book. You don't need to prep this. And then while they're talking about and each set the scene presents them with a problem. Maybe it's an NPC that's got an issue that they're trying to find something, or there's a monster of some kind that's closing in. So they're presented with a problem, and then there's some extra details for the principal, and then there is a completion criteria. It's right there on the page. So this is what the students have to have completed to successfully complete this scene. And so they can use their spells. They have items as well, and the items are actually used the same way with the D6 system, and with the principal deciding at what level. If you're trying to trip a giant with a water garden hose, that might be a difficult thing. So that's a 2d6 check. But if you're just trying to get something wet, that would be easy. That would be 4d6. So those are the sort of things that keep this, try to make it real quick. So you're not like, it's meant to be played with kids. You don't want kids getting bored and distracted while you're trying to figure out what's happening. So you want to be able to read this right to them. They say, this is how I'm going to solve this problem, and then you have to make them roll something, and then they can solve the problem. And that's the whole game. You play through it. Usually play through. Aim goal is for about 6 scenes. Takes an hour to an hour and a half to get through.
Is there any leveling, or is it just your
It's just the spell levels. And as the rewards for the scenes, a lot of them give you new spells, or they give you new items. So you get new things. But
you start at that lower level?
They all start. Yeah, when you get those new spells, they all start at 2d6 spells because you just learn them and then you get better at them. And so the idea is, you play it, and like with kids, you sit down, you play it, and then the next time you play, you just make new characters. Because to make a new character, all you do is you roll a d6 for an item, and you pick a class, and you get one of the d6 spells for that. And so they can be playing with new items and new spells every time, rather than having to remember what their character has or keep track of characters.
Do a battle royal situation, put all the kids on an island and they have to fight.
So I have been no, absolutely not. So there's no fighting directly in the base game. There's a little bit of fighting.
Oh, there's expansion.
The expansion. I'll hit you with the expansion.
Oh.
So this was actually written for the Triangle Agency crossover jam on itch, where the Triangle Agency, during their Kickstarter, they were encouraging people to make games that sort of brought Triangle Agency into our world, to put my world into the Triangle Agency world, sort of the crossover. And so in this, the anomalies from the Triangle Agency game start showing up in the world of the students. And you have to combat them. It's not actually fighting, it's still problem solving. It's like, what are you going to do? You are trying to cross this river, and giant Swedish fish are jumping out and sticking to you and pulling you in. How are you going to solve this problem? And one of the things you can do is try to wrangle these anomalies into the Triangle Agency items, or use the Triangle Agency ripple gun. Those items are described and statted out for the Sprinkles is Missing world in here.
Very cool.
So yeah.
What is coming next for the Sprinkles is Missing crew?
So on the topic of the Battle Royale, I'm being encouraged to, so Sprinkles is Missing. Sprinkles is the mascot from the school. Grumster is missing. Grumster is the wizard who is the antagonist in Sprinkles is Missing. The unwitting antagonist, but antagonist nonetheless. So he's missing. And since the principal is the GM, and there's a mechanic in the game in Sprinkles where if a character gets into trouble that might actually hurt the character, the principal has a way to pull them out of the scene. And so that way there is no dying, there is no getting hurt. The principal just picks you up and you're gone, and then when the scene is over, you show up again. And so, but you're removed from the scene, so usually you die for the rest of the scene. But so it pops you out, and you can't help anymore. But that's the only punishment. So I've been told to make a principal is missing, and now that mechanic is no longer in effect. And that might be the next expansion, but for now, this is enough.
Keep it G-rated.
Yeah, that's the target. Yeah, that's your 9-year-old is the target audience. That's the person who's going to get into this problem solving, and you're really getting creative with the magic and the items in the game.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for showing both of these games to me. Now, do you have a website, or where can people find?
Absolutely.
Are you an itch?
So this is my name, M. Allen Hall.
Yes.
And I've got a very simple website, which is mallenhall.com.
Oh, that works.
I did my best.
Well, thanks so much.
I'll hand you that.
I'll take one. Thanks so much. Anything else? Any other social media? Anything else you want to
Social media is such a mess, I have no idea. I am at M_Allen_Hall on Twitter and Threads and Instagram. But, with those, who knows which one I'll be on next week.
I hear you. All right, man. Well, thanks so much.
Thanks for coming by.